Yo, family, what's good? Welcome back again to another live stream. I apologize for my absence. Over the past few days or so, it's been a very hectic week for me. I'm adjusting to some new things. Hopefully, you'll be a lot better starting next week. I know I'm going to be preoccupied and busy tomorrow as well, but other than that, streams should still be going live over the weekend, so look forward to that and hopefully throughout next week and for the foreseeable future as well. With that being said, that is not the agenda of today's content. Welcome back to the stream, family. Great to see you all again, the OGs as usual. We have some general market updates. Got a lot to kind of dissect and analyze because it's been, thinking about it, 3 days now since our last proper deep dive in the market, because I wasn't here yesterday. Tuesday was the Blockchain Banter Show with Pavel, Ashton, and also Sione, which is a great show in my belief. I can't wait to start editing that and making some content off that probably over the weekend. But the last time was Monday. And truth be told, Monday feels like a lifetime ago. I don't even know what happened on Monday. But we can talk about what's happening right now in the general consensus, the general economy, and ultimately how the markets are behaving. Which we can see right now. Bitcoin is currently hovering at around 70k. It's been holding strong right now, which is a critical level of support for Bitcoin. Could we see this be potentially the next bottom for Bitcoin and therefore that move back up, hopefully surpassing 78k? Time will tell. As it stands right now, my own personal belief, of course, still not financial advice, always do your own research. I still don't think we're out of the risky deep waters just yet. Fundamentally speaking, what has changed in our current scenario? We still have a world war, or we're on the cusp, if we're not already in a third world war. We're in the middle of a war right now with Israel and the US versus Iran, and frankly, other nations are kind of pussyfooting about, but they're still kind of getting involved, if not already. So I still think this escalation is inevitable. One thing we did see was that Trump and the administration had tried whatever means it may be to stop any further FUD and to reduce the oil prices. We saw oil shoot up astronomically on that Monday, reaching almost $120 a barrel, which is insane, very insane. And then we saw an announcement made by Trump and by other officials, which kind of resulted in a big pullback in oil, where it actually ended at around $85 a barrel, which is a lot better, still higher than it was before the war, but it was a lot lower. But as investors and traders can now quite evidently see, that was more so just a tactic, if used by the administration, to prevent further increasing in the price of oil. But evidently, and quite obviously, as long as this war still continues, the price of oil is going to continue rallying, because the Strait of Hormuz, I believe is how it's pronounced, I apologize if I butchered that, but that key trade zone controls 20% of the total world oil trade and supplies. 20% is a large proportion. For reference, if you were to get into a crypto project that has 20% in one wallet, that's deemed as a high-risk investment. So losing this strait is a high-risk geopolitical scenario that is impacting the entire world's oil supplies. That's why oil is continuing to rallying, and Iran has made it very evident that they show no plans of coming to any form of negotiations or ceasefire, and thus this war continues to escalate, would be the word I use. Now, as war continues, we'll still see oil rise. It's still under my interpretation that in due time, the FUD that comes from the war will dissipate. You'll still see a lot of positivity and negativity. A post that I made to my VIP community earlier, based on the leading minds of certain economists, the narrative has seemingly changed, where how these markets move now has become one of verbal intervention, meaning how these markets move now purely comes down to what the White House says. We just spoke about that just now. Oil is rallying because of a war, and the strait has been closed by Iran. The White House said, we're going to solve this issue. The price of oil came shooting down that day. Lo and behold, nothing of course changed. It was just what they said, and now oil is back on the rally, almost surpassing $100 a barrel again, which I think there's a possibility we see it tomorrow. There's a possibility we see oil above $100 over the weekend, unless Trump announces something to try and bring oil down so it's low over the weekend, and of course then it opens back up, and then we'll see the repercussions, if you will. Right now, one thing to take into account is there's a lot of macro reports coming out that also haven't really been that reassuring for the time being. We did see CPI come out today, which came out as expected. So not today, sorry. That was on Wednesday. So that was yesterday, where it came as expected. So nothing burger ultimately, but remember, war is inflationary, future inflationary. So the longest war goes on, inflation, CPI is going to start rising as well. That is a cause for concern. Job report came out today, or jobless claims, I should say, weekly jobless claims, that came in pretty much as expected as well. So once more, a nothing burger. Tomorrow is going to be important though. Tomorrow's going to be important, and it could end up causing a lot of volatility, as tomorrow we have the core PCE, the Fed's preferred inflation metric, alongside manufacturing sales and unemployment rates and all these other. This is in Canada, I apologize. You've got GDP, so GDP is going to be a big one, durable goods, and you've got PCE. So it's going to be quite a big day tomorrow for macro reports. Of course, my VIPs will be informed around the time of the reports and what that will impact the markets, and ultimately how it's going to manifest throughout weekend volatility. But we are still very much in a new tsunami headline driven environment. What White House says, what Trump says, will impact the markets in the short term. And with the price of oil and even the dollar starting to show more strength repeatedly, understandably, kind of the situation we're in, you're seeing investments starting to shift towards oil, towards, in some cases, also gold, although it is down right now, and also in holding cash, holding the dollar, because it's perceived as the current safer investment. This is cycling capital away from your risk-ons, from your Bitcoins, your Ethers. You're seeing it holding 70k, which is nice, but it is stagnating. It's not moving, and if it is, more often than not, it's coming down. So what is going to change that scenario for us? I think there is, in my personal belief, once more, not financial advice, it is inevitable that capital will cycle back into crypto, into AI, into infrastructures, into blockchain. That will happen hopefully later this year, once we get some less uncertain scenarios and we start having a bit more clarity. I also think that there is a strong possibility that, I say strong possibility, maybe not strong possibility, but a possibility nonetheless, that Trump and the administration will end the war preemptively, because the longer this war goes on to, it also significantly hinders Trump's mid-election chances. So we'll see how it manifests in the next couple of months. We're currently only, I believe, 2 weeks into the war. It feels like a lifetime. We have seen a lot. I mean, you can even tell from the price of oil when that war started. Yep, it's around the 2nd of March. So it's been about 2 weeks, about 2 weeks since the war started, which is unbelievable to think. This is the current headline, right? So if you want to kind of navigate the markets, understand how they move, understand geopolitical headlines, understand the macro that also impacts future forward-looking development, and if you want to have a place to learn that all together and understand how it's going to be impactful and get frequent updates alongside trade alerts, alongside exclusive roundtables and talks every single week, and much, much more, check out the VIP community. Links are down below in the description. Signing up right now gets you a 7-day free trial as well. And if you sign up through BYDFI, our affiliate exchange, you can get a 1-month free trial to the VIP as well. Our trading's been doing very, very well, I can say, which is a good thing, because while the markets have been kind of boring, we are still waiting for our entries. We highlighted many assets now that we think are very, very good to get into when we reach our entries. I'm going to talk about one of them, of course, not Kaspa. I mean, we're going to talk about Kaspa, of course, in this stream. Kaspa is always going to be one that we're going to talk about, but Hyperliquid is one that I have been speaking about with my VIPs. I'll talk about it a bit in this stream as well. One that I think is going to perform extremely well. Is it a safe investment? Depends on the definition of safe. It's a proof of stake. So, there is always that chance. So of course, do your own research. But for me, what Hyperliquid offers and for what Hyperliquid has around it, I think Hype is one that can do very, very well. As I mentioned to my VIPs, and I'm mentioning this now, and I'll probably make a video on it at some point in the near future. For me, Hype below $20 is a great zone. Will it reach that again? Time will tell. I'm hopeful still. I think we could still see some more headwinds in the market, some more pullbacks in Bitcoin. I'm still under the impression we can see a sub 60k Bitcoin. I think if we were to pass 100k, or even the more recent top here of around 97k, then I would be under the impression that we did form a bottom here at around 60k. But I still think we have got more headwinds because there's still so much drama in the world right now that's causing so much headwinds in the market. And right now the market still very much reacts to this news. Until that stops, that's the scenario we're in. But with that being said, got a few announcements in the general market consensus before we get into Kaspa and Hype announcements. And of course, I will then, in between that, welcome back everyone once more to the community. So this is talking about the whole war situation right now. Mario Norfolk highlights here that Iran's new supreme leader just spoke and it's worse than I expected. All US bases should immediately be closed in the region. Those bases will be attacked. We will obtain compensation from the enemy. If they refuse, we will take their assets to the extent we deem appropriate. And if that is not possible, we will destroy an equivalent amount of their property. We have failed attempts to divide the country. The strait must remain closed. Countries in the region must clarify their position regarding those who have aggressed against Iran. Discussions are ongoing regarding the opening of other fronts in areas where the enemy has little experience and is highly vulnerable. These other new fronts may be activated if the state of war continues and if it is deemed appropriate. Borderline he's saying is, whatever you're hearing ultimately from the White House and the administration, at least in accordance to Iran's supreme leader. So you've got to weigh up whether you choose to believe one person or another. Do you choose to believe what Iran is saying or what Trump and the White House are saying? It's completely down to you. But according to Iran, they're saying whatever Trump is saying is complete rubbish. We are by no means showing something we want to surrender, that we're coming close to. And point being is we're still very much, I would like to say, even in the early stages of this war still, which is a cause for concern in knowing we're going to probably see more headwinds, but it does therefore mean we have a chance to end up seeing more pullbacks and those entry zones we want to find for our portfolios. Of course, Kaspa continues seeing into that, whether you like your SUIs, your XRPs, your Solanas, your Hyperliquid, your AVAXs, your Quants, your Zebex. Like, there's so many assets out there that all have potential. I still very much believe that most assets will perform very, very well. The meta for me right now is around tokenizing real world assets, which is why Hype's on that list for me, because it has got a lot of tokenization elements on their infrastructure, on the protocol already. That's why it's performing well. And also AI elements. If you can be an AI project or even an infrastructure that is very beneficial for onboarding AI agents, which we spoke about on Tuesday with Pavel and Ashton and CR about how Kaspa, it needs the adoption and it needs to convince the AI agent it's the best platform for the adoption for liquidity elements. But as it comes to just a protocol layer, Kaspa is the best for AI agents. So if you can get the other factors firing off, then Kaspa will likely get adopted by AI, and that will be a big catalyst for it as well. But in regards to geopolitics, more headwinds seemingly on the horizon, and therefore more lows incoming. And interestingly as well, as a final general fundamental announcement here, Senate Majority Leader John Toons has told Brendan Pedersen, which is that I apologise, that he doesn't expect the Clarity Act to pass out of the Senate Banking Committee before April. So, and I'm not surprised by that. You know, I have been reporting time and time again about the belief from the White House that we'll see it pass through their White House negotiations before March 1st. I'm pretty sure I did highlight that I think that's unlikely. Despite their emphasis going to happen, I was not surprised it didn't pass through at all. And now the understanding is that we won't end up seeing the Clarity Act path before the end of April, which I'm also not surprised by. I know you had Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse say it's a 90% chance we'll see it, and I've reported on that. But at the same time, I'm like, Bergani has also said back in 2025, I believe it was, that crypto's total market will surpass 10 trillion. I think it's 5 trillion, definitely 10 trillion, possibly. We didn't even reach 5. Granted, nobody really predicted that October 10th crash to that extent. But even then, like, that's why there's a reason. This is the exact reason why I don't try to make predictions in the market. I talk about what I like, what I invest, why I think something's good as educational purposes and what's happening in the world. As education, you should all do your own research, but I try to steer very far away from predictions because A, legally, that can get me in a lot of trouble, but also B, it's just not good to base something off. I'll talk about, this person said this, choose to believe if you want to or not. Like, I will choose all my reports that I talk to my VIPs about, these institutional reports from Broadridge, ABA, KPMG, JP Morgan. Like, I'll choose to report on that, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds really interesting. They're the world leaders, they have the best insight, but does it mean it's going to come to fruition or not? You know, it's not as black and white as that. Tangent aside, you won't see this key piece of legislation likely until probably close to midsummer, if not even maybe a little bit later on, this is another key catalyst, by the way. If you didn't know that, this is another key catalyst that will definitely, highly likely, I should say, so I can't provide definites, but highly likely result in a lot of liquidity from institutions flooding into the market as you have more regulatory clarity. It's one of the big key roadblocks for institutions to get into this space is regulations. This would be a big thing to happen. It's not happening yet. When it does, we should expect some volatility and kind of progressing onto snowballing, affecting onto more pumps in the market. We will see it this year. I'm hopeful. I'm going to say currently my thesis is we will see it this year, but probably later this year. And that's when you start seeing the reversal come in. I think the reversal of this market in crypto this year is going to be determined by 3 areas. The war being the key one right now. That'd be one key catalyst for reversal. 2, regulations. Most definitely, when you get regulatory frameworks, there's going to be some big stuff like MiCA coming through in summer, June time. And I believe that the Genius bill, the stablecoin bill in America, is going to be revised in some areas or revisited in some areas, middle of this year as well, July time as well. That'll also be quite a big deal as well. And then you got UK have got regulations 2027, and then you have the potential of the Clarity Act. And then the final thing for me will be AI. Those will be the 3 key areas that will result in market reversals. What price will happen as well, we'll have to wait and see, right? But this is also quite important, so keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Or additionally, check out the VIP community and you'll get updates on all this stuff when it's appropriate, as frequently as possibly needed, so we can stay ahead of the markets and stay ahead of the game. And once more, while the markets are boring right now, we're still making gains through trading right now. So I'm not complaining, really. I'm not complaining. I haven't had any other complaints in my community as of late either. People who have been there seem to be pleased with what we provide and happy to learn more. So yeah. Now we're getting some other big updates, like, of course, the first one here for Da Vinci Jeremy, the previously Bitcoin maximalist who hated Kaspa with his passion, and now Bitcoin maximalist who actually says he likes Kaspa now, which is, you know, we've kind of seen this shift happening ever so slightly, but now you've got visible confirmation here from him saying, I like Kaspa, which actually did ratio his original post, which is crazy, and it got more views. Okay, that's a lie. It got a significant amount of views though. So that is pretty big. That's pretty big news, you know, and once more proof of why Kaspa is the strongest community in this space. You can make a post like this, shit talking XRP, rightfully so, say Bitcoin's the best or whatever. Someone asks, why do you not place Kaspa? It's like, I do like Kaspa. And that got more likes, more retweets than his original. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. Now we've got the other big posts here, stuff like this as well. Before we do though, let me actually welcome back everyone to the community and to the stream once again. This time round we had Dimitar, as always first. Welcome back, bro, you're doing very, very well. Future Crypto Elite is here. Kaspa from Mount Faces. Sompolinsky on Oxford. Yes, we're going to get through that very, very shortly. Kaspa is the end game, but price must follow. Yeah, true. I do think the price will follow. It's just a matter of when. You can't expect anything realistically to pump in this market. The only asset I think that can do quite well in the current climate is Hyperliquid, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. It has to do with their tokenization elements and what they provide on their protocol. Welcome back, Llama Man and YouTube Pesky Poo. Tell me about it. I could sure use a little excitement around the price action right now. Don't worry. I'll give you all the rundown very, very soon. Welcome back, Ghostman Man. Blue Bullet, welcome. Hope you're doing very, very well. And YouTube White, hello to all you Caspians. Comment to hear what Sompolinsky the Great One spoke about in Off Elite. Unfortunately, I haven't received any insight on what he said exactly, but I'm sure we'll hear replays or recordings probably provided by KEF in regard to what he spoke about at Oxford, which will definitely be very, very exciting. 3 cents is really a shame for Kaspa. Yeah, it is, but when you think about it as 3 cents, it sounds like a shame. When you think about it as a percentage-wise, 85% down, also a shame. But then you think about the entire crypto market, equally all of them down, 70 plus, 80 plus, 90+% from all-time highs or local highs. Kaspa just following the trend right now. It's actually, it's sad, but it's just how the market is right now. It shouldn't be too much of a cause of concern, you know? At least for the time being, for my belief. Welcome back, Kryptoni Bro, you're doing very, very well. And you too, Double Demon Man. Yesterday's epic hat trick for Valverde versus Man City was insane. Yeah, I did see the highlights for that. I can't lie, I don't know what Man City were doing. That third goal was absolutely nuts. I'll give it to that. That was very, very insane. I also did see the highlights for Arsenal versus Bayern Leverkusen. It further instills my hatred for Arsenal, man. That team is so boring. And they drew a game and they celebrated like they won the game, and they drew by a cheating dive. It's just boring. I hate watching Arsenal. I say that I didn't watch them, but even the highlights just drives my gears. There's nothing entertaining about their football, but it works. So you know you can't knock it too much, I guess. I'm under the impression right now they'll probably win the Premier League for better or for worse, but I don't think they'll win any other trophies. I'd be surprised. Welcome back, LB, who's doing very, very well. LB says Turbo just pumped 40%. I'll have a quick look at Turbo real quickly. It is one that is kind of on my list. I haven't really looked too much into it as opposed to investing right now. Turbo, yes, today it pumped 30% currently up right now, but it did pump a total of almost 50%, which is quite crazy. Understandably, Turbo's a meme. It is one of the bigger memes. You know, you've got your Doge, your Pepe's, your Toshis, you know, the kind of the more popular memes. I should say more popular, not bigger memes, but popular memes. Turbo is in that bracket. It's also apparently technically considered as an AI meme as well, which I don't really understand that. I've not researched into why it's an AI meme. That might, but the fact that it's in an AI bracket, it might be enough to spur a move for it when the AI meta really takes off. Regardless though, Turbo is, you know, it did a good pump today, it's nice, but it is kind of nearing that all-time low value. It got rejected at the support level here. I mean, you can just tell from the charts here, like exactly what's happening. So Turbo rallied up to here, and that's where you saw the support come in. Unsurprisingly, I would be surprised in the current climate if Turbo can surpass that. Like saying that though, it is a meme, and memes function very, like, I can try my best to make predictions on, you know, market charts and price action and whatnot based on Bitcoin's movement, Ethereum's movement, Caspa's movement with the support and resistance zones, and it works quite well. Memes, you can do that, but they are very, very different because memes don't follow the same law of logic because they are very, very volatile. And if the community decides that, you know, screw it, let's just pump this bag, it's going to pump. Memes are very, very hard to judge. You kind of just got to be there at the right time. You can make money from it. I've made a crap ton of money from it, especially in the Solana trenches. You know, I knew I was there for the animal meta, the AI meta, the Trump derivative meta, you know, the whole, where every single week there was something new that a headline was done around Trump, like when they shot Peanut or like all this stuff like that. I was there for many of the metas, made some gains, made a lot of losses, but ultimately made more gains than my losses, thankfully, God willing. But it's very hard to judge. It's very hard to be first as well. So those who held Turbo, or those who got to Turbo at the bottom and made that gain, nice. Hopefully you got that bag pumped and don't got out, but it's hard to judge that. I'm sure you'll see memes survive. I think you'll see memes survive in the turning when it happens, but many, many, many memes will die because they will be deemed as high risk rug pulls, which most of them are. Earlier, Set Few will survive. Your Doge will probably survive. Pepe probably will, it's big enough, but it's going to be tough. The reason why I used to say that memes will die because they are just scams, and I still kind of harbor that belief a little bit, but the difference is casinos exist, and that's gambling. Memes are in the same light, the same thing. You may see a lot of the memes die because it's not launched by a controlled entity, like, you know, Hippodrome in the UK is like a brand, or I think it's quite a common brand in the UK for casinos. So you might end up seeing a casino institution launching a token which is equivalent to the gambling element, and that might be allowed, but your current meme tokens won't be allowed. I don't know. It's a thesis I just kind of thought up. Welcome back, Erica. Yes, don't worry. I do remember it's you. I remember you messaged in BB 2 days ago, and I saw your name, and I was like, Ari, I know who that is. I know, because but I was like, the name escaped me. I'll be honest, I was knackered that day. Like I said, this week's been a crazy one, but good to have you back, Erica. Hopefully you're enjoying the show and doing well, as all of you are, hopefully. Cryptoni hype is straight trash. I know you're discontent with everything that's not Kaspa and Bitcoin, effectively, but predominantly Kaspa. I'm very well aware of it, Cryptoni, and I'm not disagreeing with you that when it comes to a lot of technologies and trust and, you know, a whole catalogue of reasons, Kaspa does outdo hype. I don't disagree with that. And I don't disagree that hype has risks. But the same way how you'd invest into your bank or into, you know, whatever it may be, everything has an element of risk to it. Kaspa's biggest risk is not catching on. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Kaspa's going to catch on, but that's its biggest risk right now. Hype's biggest risk is a centralization element. It's a risk. You've got to weigh up your risk to reward. For me, I am willing to look into hype and invest into hype because what they offer is significant in the current climate, especially, and it's what's allowing hype to be one of the best performers in this market right now. Since this war started, everything's been kind of stagnant for the most part. Hype has been far from it. Since this war started, which was around here, more or less. It was more sort of, if you look at oil again, oil started pumping significantly around 2nd of March, and but that was on the Monday. Oh, sorry, Friday, 27th of February even. And you could look Hyperliquid. That's when you see hype started rallying on the 28th. I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm not surprised by that at all, and I'm going to explain why. And I think hype will hopefully, in my personal belief, and I'm praying for it because my entry zone for it will come back to 20 cents. And if it does, I'm going to scoop up a bag, probably put 5% of my port into it. Nowhere near as much as Kaspa. Kaspa's like 50 right now. I'm not going to put as much as that in hype, but I'll put like 5% into it and then cash out when I think the time is right for it. Returning to all-time highs from 20 cents would be roughly a 3x, not bad. It's not meant to be some crazy, stupid multiplier for me, Hyperliquid, but meant to be a kind of conservative / safe, quote-unquote safe, 2, 3, 4x investment to then cycle that into something I do really believe and care about, like Kaspa, for example. Kaspa will eat the prediction market along with the compute market. Render will be rendered useless along with every other fake garbage token that exists. I mean, Render might be rendered useless in the future. Render is one of the assets that I do have on my radar that I do very much believe is going to do very well in the future. At least in the near-term future. I mean, Kaspa, if it takes off and when it takes off, Kaspa could very much eat up everything else alive if they do not bridge onto Kaspa. That is my ultimate belief as well. But as it stands right now, Kaspa's not in that position. So as I am doing as an investor, I'm hedging my bets. I am not all in on Kaspa, for better or for worse. I love Kaspa. You can never question my conviction in this project. It's my biggest holding right now. I hold 50% Kaspa, 50% stablecoins. That is my allocation right now. And I'm wanting to allocate elsewhere to increase that capital to put it back into Kaspa when I think the time is right. That is my current thesis. Kaspa right now is not moving. And I have no problem with that. I can scoop lower. I continue to scoop lower, and I'm happy by that. But the other assets that I think are going to do very well, that I want to capitalize on, make those gains, and then cycle out. Render's one of them, Tau's one of them, Virtuals I've mentioned, and there are hundreds, I say hundreds, tell a lie, but there are many, many more that I have highlighted that I have believed that could do well. Will I invest into all of them? Maybe not. Maybe not. It depends on the time of the markets and how it does and whatnot, and if we do reach our entry zones in all of the assets. But there are many assets that I have in my VIP community, that's in my watch list, my playbook, that I do believe can perform quite well. I think there's a total of probably 12 that I've highlighted, maybe 13, if you can find all of the list of the assets alongside with the explanation about the token in question or the project in question, the tokenomics, the about, their partnerships, equally their concerns, because frankly, whenever you get into any investment, you should understand the risks to them. And I provide that as well. If you want to find all information out, links are in the description by signing up through to the VIPs. You join the VIP, you can get access to those spot trading, spot investments, deep dive portfolios, and if you have any other ones you want me to look into, by all means let me know. If I think it's worthwhile, I'll add them to the list or explain why I won't. But that is just one that's in my list. Welcome back, Greg, who's doing very, very well, and you too, Kaspa Queen. We do love Kaspa indeed. Kaspa is the best protocol layer for every solution in crypto has invented. I agree. It just needs to take off right now. I understand why they wanted to be the world police. They have not learned from history. Trying to replace the regime usually creates a vacuum that's uncontrollable. See Afghanistan. I have no idea who this is. I'm assuming this is referring to America trying to be the world police. And you know, I don't have really a comment on that. I don't understand it really either. The fact that we don't have proof of citizenship to vote in our country's election is crazy, and arguing against it is even crazier. I mean, I do, while I talk politics in these streams, because unfortunately politics does very much merge with financial markets and how it impacts them, I try not to dive too deep into it because politics is such a slippery slope. I don't like talking about politics. I loathe it actually, but as someone who's trying to make the better of my own life with investing and trading, I have to understand how these politics, geopolitical tensions impact markets. That's my statement on that. And I'm saying that because I'm not going to comment on people's opinions, whether you agree with the fact that you should have proof of citizenship for voting, or whether you agree that America should be at arms with Iran alongside Israel or not. That's your own belief. And I will continue to talk about it and report on it so we can use that to judge markets, but I am not going to divulge into the conversation exactly, because the one time I said a little bit too much in favor of one side, an individual was very, very unhappy with me. He blared a lot of hate in a BB show, no less, which is not quite frustrated by, quite angry by, and unfortunately I had to ban him. And I don't want to ban people. I want everyone to have the freedom to say what they want, and also to say nothing, like I'm doing right now. I have complete freedom to say what you want with respect to other people without being rude. I said one thing that I had maybe a bit too much one-sided to one side instead of being neutral, and it resulted in something that I didn't want to do had to be done because someone was not happy with my comment. So that is my tangent from that side. I'll get into more of the questions in a moment. Before we do though, let's get into some of the content so you aren't just asking or just waiting around. Any questions you've asked, I promise you I'll get to them a little bit later on, but just for the moment stay tuned to some of the content and coverage of the news. So we got here from Kaspa Commons, aka Chad, aka the previous owner of the Kaspa official Twitter account, unofficial Twitter account. Did you know today, March 12th, Sompolinsky # will be speaking at Oxford Union? It's not to be confused with Oxford University, it's Oxford Union, but it's still as significant. For over 2 centuries, the union has hosted presidents, prime ministers, economists, and a small number of technology founders such as Bill Gates, Steve Wozniacki, and Jimmy Wales. These are not small names, people. Not small names at all. When the union invites someone connected to crypto or digital infrastructure, they have only been a few. The interest usually centers on 3 areas: foundational questions about money or economic systems, serious cryptography and academic research, technologies that may influence governance or society. Sompolinsky has spent well over a decade researching scalable consensus, beginning with his doctoral work at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. His research on block protocols, including the Ghostdag family of consensus ideas, has been cited in thousands of technical publications studying distributed systems. Those ideas eventually became the foundation for Kaspa. That's where we're at right now, and Sompolinsky had the liberty of speaking to this union that's hosted many massive names, and is normally a sign that you are in a very, very big and a right spot, if you will, to be recognized as a leading intellectual name, if you will. Sompolinsky states, first things first, For Kaspa to become a globally trusted asset in the order of today's trillions of US dollars, the community's culture must be conducive to becoming the cradle of money. Some degree of tension and contention must linger in the air for the moneyness properties of society's collectible to emerge. Our rivals, our competitors, and advisories must feel comfortable storing their wealth herein. Sorry, brain lag there. High net worth individuals who distrust this author, hopefully the club has grown larger in the past 48 hours, must feel Kaspa is nonetheless an absolute safe haven for their wealth. It must pass the eye test of institutional investors. Kaspa must Bitcoinize from in which we are all faceless until we have faces. This is, I mean, I think a very, very well way of laying it out, and ultimately I said here on in, yeah, so I meant to hear in. But yeah, this is ultimately how Kaspa should be perceived. The way for Kaspa to really reach that level of sound money is for it to be used as a store of value, which if you look at Kaspalytics and you look at the inactive addresses, you can see it is currently being utilized in some elements as a store of value. 3 months, you're seeing a lot of volatility and some selling. Same thing in 6 months and a little bit in 1 year. But then when you go to like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, people are not selling. So it is to some regard being utilized as a store of value right now, which in itself is a very, very big deal. So it is being used as a store of value, but it's got to catch other institutional investors as well. And I'm still confident we'll see that as time continues to go on with all these big protocol updates for Kaspa that will make it so much stronger as well. Paul Van Son also highlighted, of course, one of these so-called institutional bodies or someone who's connected to big institutions like SGCC, like PwC, like Shell, and like EDF and so on and so forth. He said that presenting Kaspa at the highest level in the academic world is a great honor. A scientifically sound concept may not be adopted as fast as quick and dirty popular approaches, which you could take your pick on how many there are in the crypto space. But once its broad spectrum of applications is proven, that's why I'm confused. So once Kaspa's broad spectrum of applications is proven, it cannot be beaten anymore. And I agree with that. But that's also, to reiterate, that's why I am, and I have been for a while, hedging my bets on other projects, because I believe in Kaspa. You cannot question my conviction, but it's a matter of waiting for when it is proven, when the applications of Kaspa are proven. I think you'll see signs of that this year. But until waiting for that, I want to continue making gains elsewhere, be it through trading, be it through other assets, small portion portfolio to then cycle that gains back into Kaspa when the time is right. Paul Van Son said it perfectly here for me. And you can see some images here of what the event looked like. Sompolinsky right here in front of these, in front of the union here, talking, giving a speech. No bow tie, but very dapper, I must say. You can see the fresh trim he got for this event, as one should for such a honor. I'd like to believe. Kaspa, of course, representing. Absolutely love to see that there. He looks very much at home. I'm sure he would have very much loved speaking at Oxford Union, because I think we can all say quite comfortably when he comes speaking about Kaspa, it probably goes over a lot of our heads, because, you know, he's a technical genius in that aspect, but it's technical. It's hard to understand what he's saying. I'm sure to the union, he could use those technical words and it'd be more understood, which I think is also quite big as well. And you can hear right now, the start of the main and dessert, some very, very lovely looking food there, I can't lie, with Kaspa just sitting right there. I'm very excited to see if we will see any form of YouTube recording of the talk. So we'll see some stuff hopefully very, very soon. I cannot wait for that. And I'm sure you see me make a video. I'm sure you see many people like myself, like Crypto Crew, like Crypto Pumps, and Cat Daddy Crypto probably, and many, many more, making videos on this, talking about significance. And circling back, yes, once it is recognized, Kaspa will start taking off. I still wholeheartedly believe that you've got people already in the right spaces. Mouth and Digital Holdings already looking at Kaspa, has been doing so for the last 2-3 years. KRI, courtesy of DRI, happy with Kaspa, and they're building on Kaspa right now. actively doing it right now. You can't see proof of it, unfortunately, or not as much proof as you'd like to see, which is why people are a bit skeptical about it. But they're building, and it's evident, and it's big. KEF are doing their part on getting Kaspa's name out there, getting Sompolinsky to these big union talks. This is KEF doing this, so shout out to KEF for that. KF. I know people have a lot of controversy around a lot of the stuff in Kaspa because the price is down, so you just don't know who to trust. But I think KEF are acting in good faith. I have whole heart belief in that, and they're doing a great job. From the looks of things out now, especially recently. The most recent listing for Kaspa was HTX, out thanks to KEF. So shout out to KEF for that. This is fantastic stuff. Yeah, no tie unfortunately, but nonetheless still a very, very big event with some massive names there, I'm sure. Yeah, looking fly, I can't say. Mr. Y looking very, very fly. Now we've got some other updates quickly before I get to some more questions and then get into the hype stuff for those who do want to hear about it. Dennis here, who is currently ex-DagLab official, you didn't know that, but also working with IGRA right now. Dennis highlighted that we're so happy we found a way to do it without centralized exchanges, market makers, and the like, where IGRA have announced that after months of evaluation, running an IGRA token distribution on Delos, on Zap, is the way they're going to be going. We spoke about this a bit on Tuesday, so if you want to hear more about it, by all means, cycle back. This is the thing they're talking about in conjunction with Uniswap, to my knowledge. So yeah, this is a pretty big milestone for IGRA, and we are, in my belief, probably in and around, I want to say 2 weeks, give or take. Hopefully until, and this is just a speculative timeline, they're not given a concrete timeline yet, but I predicted 23rd of March, Sione predicted 26th or 27th, and then CryptoPumps, aka Joe, predicted the 31st. But we are, in my belief, probably about 2 weeks until the mainnet public launch for IGRA, and then we can all get on board and just have a good time on the platform. Realistically, that's really, really cool. They also now got a preview listing on CoinGecko, so getting that adoption coming through, kind of catching up to cashbacks in that regard already, which is good, and we'll see that continue to running more and more. The volume is, you can see the volume right now is happening. It's not very high right now. Cash is getting quite a few. KRC has had a few in the last hour. Cashbacks has come down. It has got good spikes. I've seen, courtesy, I think, of their AI bot, their partnership with the AI bot. So you've seen cashbacks spike quite a bit, but I'm sure you'll see these numbers go up a lot more when IGRA's out, when the market's reversed, and you see a lot more happening on chain. With AI bots, if you can get AI bots on both cashbacks and IGRA, you'll see these numbers go up a lot more, because they'll be part of the reason why you see transactions going up, and they'll also incentivize people to jump on board the platforms as well. So all very, very possible in the near future. And we also got this post here, where there's a repost from Rusty Kappa version 1.1.0, which is now out, which apparently is 3 times faster, and other big upgrades as well. And Pavel's confirmed here. He can confirm 25 minutes for a full sync, and get virtual chain from block version 2 is pure magic. So looks like things are all working really, really good right now, which is great to see for Kaspa. And we'll see a lot more in the coming months. We're meant to be hopefully having a hard fork in the next 2 months. So if we can stick to that timeline, it's going to be big, big, big news. Now I'll get to some other posts real quickly. Before I do though, let's get me back into the questions as quick as I possibly can, although it's been very active today, which I appreciate all for being so talkative. It's been a while. Welcome back, Orcs. A lot of money to jump on the ship. Hope they will just be temporary problems. Yes, I have seen that as well. We actually had a bit of a conversation / dispute in my community earlier with Cody and Tony, which of course you're part of the Feed Discord server, you might have seen it. It came mainly down to just talking about the lack of profitability in the miners right now. As it stands right now, if you own a KS7 miner, it's minimal, it's marginal, but you are actually in profit if you're using one of those KS7s. But any other miner right now seems to be losing money, which is why a lot of them have turned off. But it's we did see it. I didn't have the chance to respond to it, but I think Sione mentioned on Tuesday about the lack of hash rate could be a cause for concern for Kaspa, and it is. But the way I perceive it is hash rate and price at this point, they go hand in hand, because the hash rate is indicative of the security and the mining of a proof of work. But if the project itself is not doing well in value, you're not going to mine it because you're not making money from it. You're not going to make money from mining Kaspa for the most part because the price is so far down. And the cost of electricity and the cost of mining it exceeds the reward. But the price goes up for Kaspa. If it reaches 10 cents, again, you'll likely see a lot of those miners turn back on as it becomes profitable again, which does therefore mean that those who are continuing to mine Kaspa will have therefore more competition, which would mean they might get less rewards, but it does mean you see a higher hash rate. It's a whole cycle give and take type of thing, you know? But I'm not ultimately worried about the hash rate as it stands right now, because the price is down. When the price reverses, if the hash rate doesn't rise with it, then you could be a bit concerned. But I think the hash rate is going to rise with the price, and I think the price will rise when the project starts growing more. And it's still number 2 in hash rate in all cryptos. I mean, yeah, I haven't fact checked that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I know it was number 2 at one point. It surpassed Doge and Litecoin. I think after this correction, it may not be second anymore. But again, I've not fact checked that. But yeah, I'm sure it will. It will. If it has lost that pedestal, it will return to that later on. Hype is a Ponzi scheme trash. You may believe that, and that's perfectly fine, Kryptoni. It's still something that, and again, what I talk about is purely what I think could be a good hedge. I understand the risk I'm taking by holding something that is a proof of stake and that has a high chance of being rug pulled. I say high chance like hype's going to rug pull. There's no absolute guarantee of it. Of course, the possibility is significantly higher than in Kaspa because Kaspa's a fair launch project. I understand the risk with that. I wouldn't categorize hype as a Ponzi scheme. But at the same time, it depends on how you hold it. I'm not, with my intention to buy into hype when I'm ready for it, which is sub 20 cents, that's the sub $20. I'm not holding it to 1K. I'm not holding it for multiple years. My plan is to hold it, end of the cycle, ideally 2, 3, 4x I'd be content and happy with, and then I cycle it all out. Maybe leave a little moon bag, but I cycle it all out. That would be my intention with it. So in that aspect, my investment strategy, for me, that is a lower risk with a decent reward on top of that. That's my investment strategy for hype. It's not like someone who's holding XRP and they believe they're going to go up to $2,000 million in like 10 years, which is what they're all talking about. That's something else. That's for be a bad investment strategy. But holding XRP like I did from 50 cents to $3.50 after the lawsuit, that's not bad. Holding it at a price where it was very undervalued but had a lot of influence and could go up higher, that for me was a smart investment decision. And I made gains of that and I got out of it. I'm completely out of XRP. And I'm happy I did that. And I would do it again. That's my point. I completely agree with the sentiment around proof of stakes being risky. I will always agree with that. But I do see, as with anything that's risky, there is a potential return of investment in this risk that I'm willing to take to flip capital and put it into a retirement account, be it like Kaspa, a wallet that is a retirement account of Kaspa, you know. After getting my first 100k at like 0.002, it was roughly paying 0.02 for the next 400k, but now I'm a shark, I think. Yeah, that's just how the mining has gone, I think. But I mean, either way, it's a healthy bag though. You can't be upset by that by no means. $1,800 for nearly 1 mil Kaspa, that's a W. Oh yeah, that is massive. Like you cannot complain by that, you know. Absolutely insane stuff. And they should have taken it. Yeah, great stuff, man. Honestly, shout out to you. Getting on that is fantastic. I think all of us wish we were in on that, you know. We're witnessing future millionaires and royalty in our midst. We love that for Caspians. We love that for all of us. It pumped so fast to every day. I'll check my wallet and it was at 150k when it was at all-time high. Yeah, it's fantastic stuff, man. Fantastic stuff. And I'm again, my personal beliefs, not financial advice. Of course, invest and trade and research at your own discretion. But I still believe we return and surpass that in the future. That's my belief. And trust me, Dimitar, a lot of us in the same position as you. I didn't get in as low as many people did in this community, but I've continued to DCA to lower my average. And I've been stacking up continuously. And I'm happy with my bag, and I'm going to continue buying more in the coming months as we get better entries for crypto, in my belief, as crypto continues to go down. And yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I understand the sentiment around hype being trash. I understand where he's coming from. I understand the argument. But I also understand where you're coming from, PG, because the bottom line is a lot of people right now quite evidently are using hype. We can see this here. Over the past 2 weeks, real-world asset trading on Hyperliquid has repeatedly broken records, surpassing 1.3 billion in open interest and 1.4 billion in weekend volume. That is no small feat. When traditional markets are closed, Hyperliquid is the premier venue for 24/7 price discovery on oil, metals, indices, and other essential assets. This is an important step towards housing all of finance. This is the biggest reason, ultimately, why I'm looking at hype. It's not the only protocol. We had a conversation with this with somebody else earlier. I think someone said that Asta also has the ability to trade oil as well. And that's great. Although Asta, admittedly, is not really moving, and I'm not too surprised by that. I don't personally think I'll get into Asta. I know it's backed by CZ, but I just don't personally think I'll get into it. But hype has the ability to trade oil, and we just showed that earlier. From when this war effectively started, right here around, but this is where oil started pumping on 27th Friday, and then next day when the market's closed on the weekend and you can't trade oil on the weekend because it's not 24/7 market, hype started pumping. And look, the same thing on Monday 9th, which Monday, that was Monday. So you're seeing like hype's doing some insane volumes and insane values when oil's been performing well. Like, so that's hype for me. Will hype come back down? I still think it's possible, personally. I don't think I've missed it. I have some people who got in round here, just shout out to them. But for me, if I don't get it to hype, I'm not too worried, because for me, I'm aiming for 3-4x kind of thing. It's great, as a kind of safe bet, but it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, I'm comfortable waiting for $20. That's my zone for hype, personally. And I think, given what's happening on chain right now, given its ability to trade oil, which is why hype performed and be the best performer in this market right now, because oil is currently the leading investment because of all this war stuff. I think hype's going to still see a lot of volume coming through. It might simmer down at some point. Maybe you see a big reversal in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin comes down, hype will come down with it, in my belief. Maybe not as significantly as everything else, but it'll come down. Hopefully we see $20 and then I'll buy in here and then hopefully make gains off. That's my belief, that's my hope. But hype is doing a lot right now in the goal of tokenizing real world assets, which is, as I mentioned, the 3 key investment areas right now is oil. But what I'm looking at quite a lot right now, closely, is infrastructure projects, whatever it may be, that has the ability or will tokenize real world assets. I think Kaspa can do that, but right now hype is one of the leaders in that aspect, tokenizing real world assets, having a market with it, and top of AI. That's why I'm looking at hype. This post from Bloomberg here, I don't even know if I can see it, because I think Bloomberg might have a paywall on it, and I don't care to pay for it. I think it does. Yep, there you go. So I can't look at that here. But oh wow, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I turned the notification off so you couldn't hear the notification sound come through. I need to make sure I stop doing that. But thank you very much, Roll Tide Hero, for the $5 donation, where you ask, why is it being weird? You ask here, do you mess with DeFi at all? Could Kaspa dip into DeFi for some projects? I have dipped into DeFi, and I do plan to. Furthermore, I plan to actually create some courses later on in the year for the VIP community on that aspect. I have dipped into DeFi a little bit. Stuff like yield farms is quite a big element of that, and I think is a great. And there's a lot of controversy around banks regarding who could generate rewards from yields. But I think it's a very, very key element, yield farms elements. That's a big part of DeFi. To answer your question, if Kaspa could dip into some of those, yes. I don't see why it couldn't. I think Kaspa most definitely. Exactly when is the ultimate question, right? We have no idea exactly when, but I do think that Kaspa will at some point dip into DeFi, and you got to think about it. Like for example, you got IGRA right now, IGRA, who are going to be going public mainnet in the next few weeks, and they are 100% Ethereum virtual machine compatible, which means that they could have these. I mean, you've got dexes and stuff being built like Zealous, like Kaspa.com. They'll have DeFi elements on there. So the question is, Kaspa will have their own DeFi elements, and I'm sure in the future they'll connect to other DeFi projects as well. because that's how you got to do to survive. You've got to be interoperable with other projects. So yes, is your answer my question on that. And I do get involved in it. I'm going to get a lot more involved in it on Kaspa, that's for damn sure, because I have more faith and trust in that. And I will be making courses on that sort of stuff. Probably talk about more on my stream, making courses on that to the VIPs, those who are also looking a lot more into like mentioning yield farms where you can put money into a such money off that passively makes gains for you, where you can just make even something like $10 a day, but that stacks up, you know. You make your money work for you. That's what all the banks do. DeFi, yield farm, is doing what being your own bank. It's a very, very important, critical feature that helps you generate wealth. Kaspa has no risk of not catching on. I haven't been wrong yet. Yeah, I agree with you there. I haven't been wrong yet. And I also believe that Kaspa has no. I also agree with you that Kaspa has no risk of not catching on. But why it has not caught on yet, I'm just hedging. I'm waiting. But that capital I make is going to cycle back into Kaspa anyway. So, you ain't going to win fading hype. Yeah, I would look at Arthur Hayes and Big VCs. Yeah, and yeah, that is a benefit / risk, because it means that your Arthur Hayes and your big VCs can just liquidate and dump the project. I understand those risks, and I hope you all understand that as well. Once more, everyone should do their own research and trade and invest at their own discretion. I'm not saying buy this. By no means am I saying buy this, because that's not financial advice. But it's something that I've looked into, something that I'm seeing what's doing well on it, and I understand why it's doing well due to VCs or due to the fact that it offers the ability to tokenize oil, which is the current leading trend right now. Oil is what's pushing markets, pushing the dollar up, pushing oil up, the wall's pushing oil up, and pushing crypto kind of down. So it's a risk, but it's not one that I'm going to be holding till Kingdom Come, till Valhalla. I'm holding it for 2, 3, 4x. It's kind of my goal right now. Will that change? Maybe. My current thesis is $20 hype, what I want to get into, and I want to ride it up and then get out and then put the capital elsewhere. That's my belief, at least, you know. But we have to wait and see. Again, if you want to find out more about hype and the do's and the don'ts, the goods and the bad, the project, what it's about, you can check out the VIP. And it's not just hype in there. We've got many other assets in there that also have their risks, but also have the potential to make some big gains. We've got some high risk ones in there, like high risk AI projects you want to look into if you want to, or equally some more conservative ones. There's no doubt Tao's going to be huge. I have zero doubt Tao's going to be huge. My entry zone is anything kind of 150. Anything below 100 is fantastic, but 150 would be great. But bottom line is, for Tao, I'm not trying to... Tao, I'm being less strict with entry. Hype, my strict entry for hype is 20. And I think we can get to that. Tao, I haven't got a strict entry. My belief is when Bitcoin starts to rally, I'm in Tao. Because AI is going to be the big thing. There's zero doubt about that. And I think Tao's the front runner for AI. Tao's going to do fantastic. And I think assets like Kaspa can equally follow that trend. But Tao has got that headline of being the #1 AI project. Therefore, Tao is going to rally. Tao's got an ETF with Grayscale. So it's there. Me also, I invest only in Kaspa. That's fine. You're welcome to do as you will. I hold only Kaspa right now. So I'm the same. But that will likely change when I deem the time is right. But I can say it quite comfortably. Kaspa's still going to be forever my biggest holding, my biggest position. I don't even think I would ever have more stables than Kaspa. And if I do, that'll very quickly be 50-50. Can't wait to DCA the next day. Close to 1.3 more Kaspa. Love that Dreamcast. Keep stacking that bag, man. It's insane stuff. What about Canton Network? Canton is one that I had looked at. And it is also an asset that's in my portfolio. / watch list, I should say. I say portfolio, but I'm not holding it right now. It's in my watch list. I have got these zones here. I'd be hopeful to see Canton retrace back to this zone here, and I might put a bag in. But for me, Canton is even bigger risk than Hyperliquid. Because while Canton has got to the category of being a fair launch project, because it was fair launched, it was front run by institutions. So that gives it a lot of, benefits and a lot of ability to rally up significantly, because institutions are very heavily in the project. But it does mean while being fair launched, it is centralized by institutions. So that's the risk with it. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of Canton in that aspect. But in saying that, Canton has already performed extremely well so far, one of the best performing assets as of 2026. And because of its institutional backing and how much we know that institutions don't like not having control, I would not be surprised to see Canton do well. I think it's one that could fall off though, because the way Canton's like reward mechanism works, institutions get like, I can't remember what the number is. Let me quickly load it up, because I know I have it in my VIP community, because I've got that reported down. To load up that and then load up my separate tab, because I don't want to leak all the stuff that my community that are paying for it are seeing, because that would be disservice to them. Is it that one? No, it is this one. So Canton, there it is. So when it comes to the distribution mechanism, they have three like categories. One is for the standard validators. So those who validate the network, they earn between 12 to 18% of the like distribution rewards, and it starts off at 12 and increases to 18. Those who are application providers, aka those who are building on the network, I don't know what they're starting at right now, but they can end up generating up to 75% of the rewards over time. So the longer Canton goes on for, builders end up accumulating and making a lot more. The super validators, so the infrastructure, the institutions, they start off high at 48%. So right now, institutions are completely well and over taken over Canton, but that decreases down to 20. So it does mean that in the long run, institutions have less. They technically make less. Of course, Canton might have significantly validated more by them. But new Canton is minted every 10 minutes and rewarded to the three categories. Institutions right now, the highest 48%, but it comes down over time. But because of that, it means that while being fair launched, it can go down, but it also means that, yes, you could see Canton perform very, very well later on down the line. So I have looked at the Canton. I have. And it's one that, with my allocation portfolio right now of 50 Kaspa 50 stablecoins, for me, personally, I would not invest more. I would not invest more than 2%. I would not invest more than 2% of my portfolio into Canton, because I think it's extremely high risk. Now, of course, that percentage allocation will differ depending on who you are. If you already got like $1,000 to invest, you may not be able to invest in more than 2 projects. And therefore you might decide 80% goes into Kaspa and 20% goes into Canton then. So you've got 800 in Kaspa, 200 in Canton. If you've got hundreds of thousands, then having smaller allocations, 1%, 0.1%, is more plausible. I'm saying 2% Canton. That's just me. Canton's coming down right now. I think we'll see better entry still. And if you do, I'll put a small portfolio in that. I'm still looking at Canton. I think it can do quite well, and the information about it. And I haven't started doing it in my community yet, but I might create a category. I have to confer that with certain people. Make a category in my community, my VIP community, that is specifically for updates regarding projects that are in our portfolios. Like any hype update goes in there, any Canton updates goes in there, so we can see what it is that's happening. So you already have the real-time research, the deep dive doc, and then what's happening in real time as well, to then give you further understanding of what's happening. Of course, you can. That's all just to give you a kind of area to have the information, but always do your own research. Otherwise, I say. I agree, Dimitar. Just Bitcoin, Kaspa, Tau hype. I think those are good holdings. Kaspa strong, Bitcoin of course strong, Tau strongest AI hype I think also is strong. I think all are very strong holdings. I have a few others in mind that I think also can perform very, very well. Some are AI narrative, some are protocols that can blend into the AI narrative, some are reward assets, but those 4 for me are strong holdings. And fundamentally speaking, yes, I do think Bitcoin will never fade. I see it. I believe. I agree. Honestly, I agree. I just believe it's pointless to invest in anything that Kaspa could take the market from. Yeah, I don't disagree. I understand that sentiment. It's just, except for me, I understand that. I just think I see the value in it because I'm like, if I'm waiting for capital still, but I can potentially, and I'm willing to take the risk to increase my capital in a quick, quote unquote, quick, or while I'm waiting for Kaspa, and then cycle that out back into Kaspa, then I've made more Kaspa. That's my incentive, right? That's my reasoning. 32% stablecoin, 60% Kaspa, 10% BNB. Yeah, I mean it's also not bad portfolio allocation. I think I personally would have more stables just right now. I know people had to go me a while back when I said it, but I said cash is king, and in this current climate it is. I don't think cash is king in general. I don't. But in this current climate, cash is king because you have the ability to allocate your portfolio wherever you need to at the time you need to, which right now, that's oil. That's why I'm 50-50. But otherwise, I think that's a very good allocation. And by all means, I'm not a financial advisor, so you do what's right for you. And I still think that's a good good position to have. All my salary goes in Kaspa. Well, I hope not, Dimitar. I hope all your excess capital that you can afford to lose goes in Kaspa. Because if you're literally going broke and you can't even eat or pay rent and it's going to Kaspa, that's a bit of an issue. That's a bit too much risk. And yes, I do very much agree with the statement here as well, PG. Does anyone use Pancake Swap at any dexes? I'm back in the a while back, months back, a year back now maybe, but I haven't used any recently really. I'd love to hear more about DeFi. I'll try and make some content on it in the future when I get around to making those reports, those tutorials, if you will, in my VIP. I'll probably make some of them available publicly, some of them maybe just to members, and I'll get more into it. Right now, I'm still very much off the back of I'm still in the midst of my hectic schedule and weeking, so I'm just trying to get to grips with it all. But I hope to have a bit more time as it goes on. How soon that comes, it is, I couldn't tell you. It could be as soon as next week, it could be next month, it could not be till summer. I'm hoping, but I'll make some content as soon as I can do, And with respect, I love both PG and Kryptoni for talking about this sort of stuff, but I am past the hour mark. I won't highlight all the questions in the conversation happening here, unless there's one specifically to me right now, but I appreciate the comments either way, you guys doing God's work out there. Where's the questions real quickly? We have from this one. I was considering buying one of those CAS miners, KS7s, but not enough left for mine. I mean, yeah, right now KS7s are profitable, but it's like if you're buying a KS7, it's going to take a while for you to pay that off. Because we spoke about earlier, Tony was saying like he's making, I think it was like 8 or 7 cents off it, and I think a day or something like that, which is like cool, you're making money off it, but how long is it going to take to pay that off? So it comes down to ultimately to have that capital available and you think it's worthwhile. I don't mind Kaspa. I honestly regret not doing it earlier when I could have done, but I have other opportunities, I'm sure. It said I could still make profit if I help with transactions. Yes, so if I believe you're an attester as well on IGRA, that means you can also, those who are got an attester on IGRA, you can make rewards from doing that. So you make the rewards from transactions on IGRA and while also mining Kaspa as well, which is also an incentive why IGRA is going to be hopefully quite very beneficial for Kaspa, not fragmenting the network. Yo, Crux, you're doing very, very well. Welcome, Sela, you're doing very well. What's the news on Jonathan? Jonathan Sompolinsky attended earlier today an event at Oxford Union Society, which is a very, very big and prestigious event, which had many huge names hosted previously, like Bill Gates, like Steven Wyszynski, and like Jimmy Wales, and many, many more, and presidents and prime ministers. So it's a big, big, a big, big group of people. And Sompolinsky was invited to talk there for and he spoke about Kaspa. So as Paul Man's son highlighted here, Kaspa was presented at the highest level in the academic world, and it's a very great honor. And, you know, it may not be adopted as quickly as your proof of stake projects and whatnot, but once the spectrum of Kaspa, once Kaspa gets more onto the limelight and the applications are proven, no one will be able to, put down Kaspa anymore. And I very much agree with that. And this is a great step in the right direction to get Kaspa in the right spaces with leading academic world leaders, leading academic minds, understanding about Kaspa, what's so significant about it. Will that result in investments? No guarantee of that, but it will definitely garner more attention to the project. And that could correlate to some potential deals coming, maybe people starting to help subsidize the KEF as a way to help to fund Kaspa to achieve that goal. Maybe getting more entities similar to KRI coming on board, who knows? But it's a big deal nonetheless, it's a great honor nonetheless. And I appreciate that very, very much, Crux, for your support. Very, very much indeed. Hype is a beast. Hype could be amazing if you just moved to Kaspa. Yeah, I mean, I very much agree with that as well. Like, most projects could be much better if they moved to Kaspa. But Kaspa right now is not in that position to do that. Hopefully, in the coming years, that will happen. If they want to survive, they have to be on Kaspa. But right now, Kaspa's not got the bandwidth or it's not got the infrastructure in place for that to happen. But it will likely soon, with Silverscript and stuff going on mainnet and being released later this year. Asta is a very solid project. Asta is one that is a similar limelight to Hyperliquid, where it can tokenize oil and whatnot, to my knowledge. It's backed by CZ. I don't hold Asta. It's been, like Kaspa, very flat for the last month. Not really moving. It could do well. I personally prefer Hype, but I think both have their benefits and their negatives, LB loves pushing his narrative. Honestly, I back it. I love it as well. Gap of the Wheel are going to change the game with real-time decentralization and the ability to sample the honest majority of consensus. That's also very true. DeFi Kaspa is going to be much better and different from everything else when it comes out. Which you're going to see more of that coming out soon enough anyways. And then hopefully it'll start scaling as well with AI and then adoption for Kaspa anyways. But other DeFi elements are available, and I have dabbled with some of them, and I'll get more involved and talk more about it later on as time goes on. IGRA and ETH use an account model, while Kaspa uses an UTX, so this is why it hasn't been successful. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that IGRA will be very successful, right? They've got Hyperlink on there, they've got the connection to Ethereum, and they've got other AI stuff coming through. We'll see a lot more coming through, and we'll see what performs better, right? Right now, Kaspa have got both Circle and Tether there. So, and fundamentally speaking, having the stablecoins on the platform is a key benefit to help AI adoption as well. So whether it's not getting adopted right now, it helps with AI adoption in the future. I'm disabled after losing VoiceBox to cancer. Sorry to hear that, ma'am. I really am sorry to hear that. So I'm on a fixed income, really relying on capital things so I could join the VIP. Well, hopefully in due time, Roll Tide. I very much believe in time Kaspa will rise. I think Kaspa still potentially has some downward price coming in because this is my belief, but I do think Bitcoin equally is going to come down at some point. Right now it's kind of toying with 70k and 65k, this support beam here. I still think Bitcoin can retrace into the low 60s, maybe even 50s. And if that happens, Kaspa will also come back down. But that would be my time to DCA into it. And I do think Kaspa makes a comeback and crypto make a comeback later this year. That's my common belief. And yeah, man, I appreciate your support wholeheartedly. If you have got the time and you want to check out more and learn more, the VIP will always welcome you with open arms. And we can all hopefully continue to work together to escape the matrix, if you want to clarify that way. But yeah, honestly, it is very inspirational to me, if that's even the right word. People going through that, everyone has their own unique circumstances, everyone has got their own blessings and shortcomings, whatever, and we're all here fighting towards the same goal. So thank you for sharing that, Roll Tide. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you for being here, honestly. Yes, no, I remember Tony mentioned this as well. He found ETH very, very early, and he got into it and gotten very, very high as well. Yeah, I know, right? That's Canton, right? I know, very much fair launch. It was a fair launch, but Institute front run it. So does it really count? You know, like if I what does it actually say? Yeah, Canton. The way I put it down is Canton Network is arguably the most corporate blockchain in existence. It was a fair launch, and it focused a lot on privacy, which is another key element. But yeah, it was front run by institutions. Valhalla. Yeah, you know, we love that lingua here. I don't know if anyone's using it right now. Um, but right now, like the amount of crypto users has significantly dropped off. So you'll see activity across the board dropping. I'm sure people will come back to Tau. I think there's some that's still active, so I'm sure there is people still using it in some aspect. And yeah, no, ETH transactions fees was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous as well. Like I remember, I think it was Levendi said that he swapped an NFT or something, and he paid like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on transactions for an NFT or something like that. It was people have spent more on transaction fees than the actual cost of the stuff they're sending, which is ridiculous, you know. Um, yeah, honestly, sometimes it's quite therapeutic to just take a step off from the market and just leave it and then come back later on when things are looking better. As long as you like, if you're doing trading or stuff like that, which I do dabble in as well, I do it at my VIP community. Then like you got to be more active in the markets and active on the information. But otherwise, if you're just investing and holding long term, you can afford sometimes just to get in and leave it for a bit and come back later on. Or influencers on Twitter will tell you Kaspa is dead. Dev activity has never been higher. True. Dagnite will come this year, highly likely, because devs are onboarding left and right. Real devs are building for the long term. They aren't building to make money now. They know that they are actually building something that will outlive themselves and better humanity. I agree. If Casper devs who will continue to evaluate more and more can meet all the goals and expectations of the community, then we're in for a very big year. That is awesome. You just created it, so you're not saying, okay, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But yeah, if anything flags up, bro, oh, yeah, by all means. Of course, you got to remember one thing, right? Just because it's fair launch does not mean it's safe, right? Because you can create a fair launch token and have the insiders buy up like 80% at the launch, right? Fair launch doesn't mean it's always safe. You had that with KRCs, right? KRCs, a lot of them was 0% minted, fair launched, and they were still rugged. So fair launch doesn't always mean safe. That Canton's evidence of that, technically speaking, because it was fair launch, but instituted front run it. So, but still safer than, I guess, one that's already got pre-allocations, right? But yeah, most definitely, family. I think that will be starting to wrap up today's content and stream for today. Covenant and Daglight are coming. Future millionaires will be made for Kaspa. I agree with that, Nathan, as well, most definitely. Welcome back, Kaspa Noughts. And everybody else in the community once more. Guys are all legends for being here day in and day out. I appreciate you all very, very much. But that will be now me wrapping up today's content and stream. Hopefully all today's stream. Tomorrow there will not be a stream, unfortunately. But this weekend there'll still be one, so look forward to that. That being said, if you enjoyed the content, leave a like, share, friends, subscribe for more. As Crypto20 highlights, make sure you smash that like button on the way out. And if you want to help me out more, so support the channel and support the community, subscribe. Check out the VIP community where you can get a 1 month free trial by signing up through our affiliate exchange BYDFI and following the steps in our free Discord server, which is right here in the Get VIP Access channel right here. Right there. You can also check out the free Discord community just to chill, chat, and learn more about crypto either way. And just have a chill time there. Just when people do art activities, just talk, stuff like that. So you can check out the free community. VIP also just for a 7-day free trial. That's also perfectly available. Like you haven't got to go through BYDFI, but you'll get benefits from going through BYDFI, like trading discounts and whatnot. And then my Twitter, all the socials are down below in the description. Check them all out. But that being said, family. Okay, is Iotan back? Very much the Casper Fudster. Yeah, I respectfully am not going to. I'll next time he comes early, I might reply, but I'm wrapping up today. So that being said, family, Have a great day, good evening, good night. See you on the Discord.